You think you got this? See, Big George. So
Mm.
JT, he does good when the lights come on. You saw that little. I don't know if you can
Uh-huh.
see the on air thing that actually shows on up there. You know, he gets
Yeah.
nice, cool, and relaxed. But you wasn't in here just like 5 minutes ago where he was like,
Oh my God.
yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh, what is this?
Oh my
Oh my
God.
god.
It's not working. Hold on.
I
Wait
don't
a
know
minute.
what
Give me a second.
Oh, you sound just
every
like him. That's
every week,
hilarious.
every week.
Oh, that is hilarious. So
Calm under pressure, JT. Be calm under pressure, man.
Oh, once we get, that's why I try to get on here at about 7:30 to give me time
Yep.
to mess
Yep.
something up.
Yep.
well, that's why he likes the off season actually, and this is off season, and
Right.
Oh
so
yeah, I get to experiment the off season because
you
then
know,
if we just have to miss a show, it's like all right, it's cool, whatever.
yeah, but I was saying that because he didn't have to rush home from practice. Because I
Oh
don't
yeah, that's
understand
true.
what he trying to get from practice, dealing with the babies, trying to eat
Yep.
something, whatever.
Yep.
Then he really stressing, and I'm like, hey man, it's okay, but there's no reason to stress. To all of you that are sitting here listening to us chat right now, because we know that we're on. You're wondering what the hell are we talking about or whatnot, but this is called a pre-show, man. We hadn't even actually officially started the show, but I'm gonna tell you what we're gonna talk about first. So there's three different segments that we want to have tonight. First one, we're actually going to talk about Casey Poe. He's a four-star offensive lineman at the University of Alabama. Now we want to get some evaluation from our special guest, who you're already looking at right now, that actually knows a lot about the offensive line and what this looks like. Second piece, we're going to have a quick interview of George, not necessarily Coach George, as you see on the screen, not necessarily about him, but because of what he has been associated with um, high level high school football and what that actually kind of looks like. And then the third piece, we're going to have a good old time. It's going to be the biggest segment of it is when we actually start talking about some offense and defense. It will be a coach's clinic at the end. So, um, thank you for all of you that are here and ready. But JT, man, let's get this thing started right now. All right, this is your welcome into the show. I do appreciate you all that were here bright and early, getting your seat in the chat. Thank you, Craig, John O, Kelly, others who were just ready for this jam session we're about to have, right? Because it's just gonna be good. Thank you for those who are in on our channel, the Teagues Take channel, on our podcast station. I also want to. Oh gosh, I should have known there's going to be one dude from the U in here. We're glad you're here, though, man. We're going to talk about the Cowboys cave at some point too, because he does a great job with that podcast. So we thankful that he's here too. But I want to say thank you to the Bama Standard, and for those of you who are on there. So we're multi-streaming to multiple channels, so we have a lot of people in on that. Make sure you're subscribing and liking both channels. When you see, feel free to get in the chat as much as possible. Ask your questions, do what you want. We like the interaction of that um, as well. So I want to give you a quick run out really fast because it's kind of hit me a little hard today. So I'm going to ask our producer at the end, not JT producer, but Michael, to maybe cut this out for me a little bit because I was touched a little bit yesterday, and it was in a negative way. Oftentimes, things happen, and we don't know how to handle conflict very well nowadays. We do so much stuff with social media and our phones and all that stuff that we don't know how to talk to people. So when someone wrongs us, oftentimes we don't handle the situation. We go talk to a buddy. We go do something else, and I don't think that's the way to do it. I think that you should be able to talk to someone face to face. Some people will say "man up." I don't like to necessarily do that. I think because it can be woman to woman or whoever it is, right? It's the ability to be able to communicate to someone. So my real story is, I had a run in with an individual early in the morning, just kind of, it wasn't even meant to be. I didn't think it was. My normal good morning, and this person just kind of threw up on me. Blah. What people kind of do that sometimes. And I reacted negatively as well. And I kind of threw up on them at that moment. So now my day is all ruined and jacked up, and I'm kind of figuring out how this happened. So I immediately made the decision that, hey, I need to go talk to this person. And I don't know, maybe it's an apology, maybe it isn't. The thing I'm trying to get for you to know, or that I will encourage you to do, is when someone wrongs you, even if you're spiritual or not, it does say you should go speak to this person face to face by yourself. Kids will often try to deflect, or a person will go around you and go to your boss and go talk. That's not necessarily the way, because then you're going to feel a certain way um, as well. So when you run into something and you're having a hard time with someone, if they wrong you, your kid, your brother, right? A friend, a teammate. Go talk to them. Don't have all the stuff over here on the side where you're talking about, man, he said this and he said that, blah blah blah. All the gossip that just makes things worse. So I did go back and I talked to this person. We talked for 45 minutes. I didn't think it was going to be that long, and it didn't have to be. But there were so many other things that came out, clear, and we were able to open up the air a little bit. And now we're on the same page, and I feel so much better. I got a few less grays now. So, all right, that's my run out. Now, I do want to go ahead and bring in JT really quick. The producer, my son.
Yeah,
How you doing
executive
today,
producer
man?
now, I guess.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess we gotta change your title, executive producer. Okay, I like
or
that.
or senior producer, whatever. The live producer, we've got a extra producer who does way more after the fact.
Well, you know what? That's because we're growing. And I don't say thank you to everybody else again. That it takes a lot of people to be able to do this. We get to sit and talk, but there's so much more that people don't know about podcasts, right? When you're cutting up stuff, you're making things, and you're posting, and you're doing this stuff. It takes time. The good thing is you got a good job and you're working, and this is not what we do full time. This is something that we do for fun, you know. Uh, so I want to get into this stuff, JT. Unless there's a message you want to give real fast, I'd like to go ahead and bring in our guest. But
Now
what
let's
do you
let's do it.
think? Okay. Well, this gentleman here, y'all guys, you have seen him on the podcast before. I truly call him a friend. We've worked together. We've done a lot of stuff, and we're probably going to do some things in the future. We just ain't getting around to it yet. But I love talking to this gentleman, not because he's a former player. Um, the first thing is because he's a big motivator. His mindset is awesome. If you don't follow him on Instagram, for sure, because you need to remember that, right? George Hegamin is his name, right? So he always gives positive information. I got to hear him talk to students, youth, high school kids for so many years, and the energy and the resources that he pours into them is absolutely amazing. But he can do the same thing for you, right? Um, we also like him on Teague's Take because he played it on North Carolina State. That just means we got to beat them all the time. Anytime they didn't want to play us, Alabama. Anyway, but he had a tremendous career there. Then he got drafted in the third round by the Dallas Cowboys. You know, uh, had a tremendous career. He did play on multiple teams. You probably got some stories of what that's really like, with trials and tribulations going from team to team, and things that you got to hear and that you got to do. Right? It makes and it builds you this, and he's maintain the positive attitude that he has to be able to pour in and give people stuff. He's worked at IMG. He's worked for the NFL. man, he's worked at schools. He's been an athletic director. He's doing all kind of stuff, man. He's got it all done. He's at his own podcast. I mean, he's got his family. It's good. So I want to give a quick round of applause to George Hegamin for being on the show.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Woo! That's what I'm talking about, baby.
Listen, I appreciate that, George, but I do have a question for JT. Like now that you've been named senior executive
No, it doesn't
producer
come with a pay raise.
of the show, no, it doesn't have to come with a pay raise, but what are the perks? What are the perks with these new titles? What's the perks?
Whoa, I can answer that for him. He's got the brand new board. I got this old raggedy ass board over here, George. You know, he got the
Okay.
new one, man.
No,
He got
I
got-
flashy lights and all this kind of
No,
stuff
you got
because
new
he's the
board.
executive.
I got
Yes.
the board before the promotion.
Ah, okay.
I got the
Okay.
board so that I could do what I was already supposed to be doing more efficiently.
Okay.
No, I don't think that's exactly how that went down. But you
Okay.
know, he's got all the stuff. He got every password, every passcode, everything. I don't know.
Look,
You know what I'm saying?
listen, I didn't
Huh?
mean to start this off with, any issues, father and son, star to producer. I didn't mean to do that. I just wanted to know.
Okay. Well, all right. So let's do this. What we want to know, and I want to get into it, and we don't want to spend too much time on it, but I think it's just interesting because I'm really excited about this guy. His name is Casey Poe. You know, and when I was looking at names or who would I want to talk about over the course of off season, man, when I popped in this guy's tape, man, before we show it, I kind of want to ask you when you're looking at a highlight reel of a high school kid,
Yeah.
and you're looking at his highlight reel, what is it that you really want to see when you're evaluating the kid?
Great opening question, George. I think the biggest thing that normally disappoints me about watching the kids' high school huddle is they put one type of play on the huddle for 30 plays. I think the thing watching, he had 23 plays, Casey had 23 plays. He did a really good job of showing his versatility, whether it was drop back pass protection, going out on the screen, pulling to the second and the third level, uh, drive blocking, front side play, back side of play. Those are things that any coach that's worth his salt wants to see. So he did a really good job in doing that. And it gave me, if I'm evaluating him, I can take his film and put it up against some other kids and see some differences. And then the other part of it is see how he fits within our scheme. So the biggest thing that stood out for me with him was the fact that I can tell he understands what his job is. That's from the 23 plays I saw. He understands what the coach is asking him to do. Now, the thing that works for him and against him, he's 6'5", 305 pounds. He's doing exactly what he's supposed to do, which is dismantle kids that are smaller than him.
Not like their choice of words, dismantle.
Yeah, it was. I'm watching
Yeah.
kids just get flopped from one side of the field to the next, but in him doing different things, him pulling, him drive blocking, him on the backside of his own play, and totally shutting his man down in pass protection. The one thing about pass protection I always look at with linemen is their body position. Are they leaners? Are they squatters? How do they use their hands? Or are they just guys that just get in the way of guys? He's not that person. So I can tell you on one particular play, and we'll watch it in the pass protection, the DN spun on him. He remained in the right position, shut it down, and I believe they even run a game off of it. So to me, looking at him, he looks the part. The question for every kid, whether you're 2-star, 3-star, 4-star, is going to be how does that transition into now, which is SEC football. That's
Okay.
what we're waiting to see.
All right. So JT, let's roll the tape so they can see this because you guys hadn't seen this. I was impressed. You know, they said this anytime you saw it. And I do need to remind you that when you're looking at this tape, it is hard to watch the tape if you're like a skill guy because you start looking at the running back and everything else. You need to stay focused on number 75 and don't get lost on something else. So, all right, at this time he was a tackle, I believe. And so while you're going through this, back up, yo, look at that, man. That's crazy, man. I mean, I know the guy's little, but good Lord, he ain't got to do the safety like that.
Yes, he does.
You
Yes,
know,
he does.
look at that DB, man. What he doing, man? Come on.
Listen,
Well, that's because he got on ugly socks at defensive back. So talk to me about this right here.
Oh.
So yeah, so this
I
so
must
they
have
had
missed
him.
the first part of this. I don't
Yeah,
remember these two plays.
you actually
yeah.
watched the film. So
About 10 minutes for the show.
look at first of all, look at this other. So they did unbalance. I'm just looking at 25 down here at the right tackle. I'm kind of laughing because I'm looking at them little skinny legs and I'm looking 75 over here. But anyway, so when you're looking at this, George, how do you know if they're guard, tackle, or if they're gonna, end up
it's
being?
a combination of things. Number one, I always want to know when you're watching film. First, what is his body composition like? When you look at a guy, he's 6'5", you
Mm,
can see he looks 6'5", but then you can also look at his length. Does he have a
mm.
lot of torso? Does he have a lot of arms? Or is he evenly balanced? He looks like a tackle. So with
Okay.
that, I would project him to actually be a tackle at the next level. The only thing, and this is just again, he's an 18-year-old kid. Understanding how to use his body leverage, how to use his technique. Those are things that a great coach at the next level is going to be able to teach him. Look at
Go
that.
ahead, show that, man. Now,
No,
how do you teach
he's
that
just a
part?
bully.
How do you teach that? Well, that's what you want,
Yeah.
though, right? I mean, just body slam and
It's
the
it's
forearm.
tenacity. Either the kid has that or he doesn't. If I'm being totally honest, you don't
Mhm.
teach a kid to say to go out and beat up another kid unless he feels comfortable beating up another kid. He obviously feels
Uh,
comfortable putting hands on said kid, and that's any offensive line coach will tell you. Listen, the attitude looks like it's
Mm.
there. He
So,
has the tools that I believe I can get him with us, put him in our system, and then refine said tools. Those things he has.
how do you like that one right there on his run blocks? And I'm saying critical, and it's not me knowing everything, but foot placement when you're going up. I know we're always doing wide, choppy feet, and I know we're looking at a highlight reel. Do we really care and stuff like this, or is it something that you can see like, okay, yeah, he has all those other tools, but is there something that you see like, well, maybe I got to do some work with his footwork, or,
So here's the mistake I think a lot of evaluators make. They look at the one kid but don't look at the rest of the linemen.
Mhm.
And that'll tell you what's being taught or if anything's being taught at all.
Mm.
And then you got to take the film and then take the next level, make the call to the coach. Coach, tell me how you teach in zone blocking, front side and back side. Talk to me about, what your technique is in pass protection, just so you can get an idea of what he's being taught and then see if that's being translated into what he's doing on the field, play after play.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
That's
So,
a that is very profound. I feel like that, and that's something subtle that you said that I don't know that a lot of people are going to pick up because I think that's super important. One, being able to look at the other four guys and then try to uh, decide whether or
Sure.
not they're all being taught this Or
Yep.
if two of them are doing it one way and the other three are doing it the other way, then maybe nothing's being taught. Or if the other four are doing it differently, then he's doing his own kind of thing. And then actually doing your due diligence and then actually just calling the coach and trying to figure out.
So that you're right, JT. So when I was playing with the Dallas Cowboys, my first 2 years in the league, I was a backup, and Charles Haley, Hall of Famer, used to take me into the film room and show me tape of all types of offensive linemen playing my position and show me how they were doing it versus the way I was doing it. But he would go up and down the line. I know this coach teaches this. This is how he teaches his tackles. This is how he teaches his guards. Here's some things that you can learn from. So I learned that a long time ago. And you're right. Most people won't make that take that next step to do that.
Yeah. Okay. I guess my only question would be I don't understand how any of the rankings work when it comes to what's the difference between 3-star, 4-star, 5-star. I think you can see the difference when you're just watching guys, but from a lineman perspective, if this guy's a 4-star, what the hell does a 5-star? I'm kind of thinking, what does he got to look like? He got to be 2 inches taller and
You, you
two
know,
tenths faster, or what? What is this?
here's the thing. Here's the thing about the rating system, right? It's all subjective, to be honest with you, because you're right. Because looking at this, I'm not going to say, he's a 4-star, not a 5-star. I'm looking at him execute the blocks that the next level is being taught. He has the height, he has the weight, he has the tenacity. Who else is in the field of tackles that whomever is grading them, and what are they doing differently than what I'm seeing with him? It's subjective.
Mhm. That was a good pass block set right there. Right, I think we was
Yep.
talking about it. He actually got back and set and didn't get over
Just
anxious.
that simple play that we just saw. I've watched him go to the second level, first secure the first level and go to the second level, probably better than you see most offensive linemen do on a high school level. That's recognition, that's understanding what you're being taught and understanding the concept of the play.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Well, thank you, babe. Consuela Teague's in the house.
Well, Teague.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now, does
All
she get
right.
a promotion too? Does she get a promotion as well?
No, because she's the owner. Her name is actually on the company, so it's all.
Say no more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
so
Well,
talk to me about this looks like a reach block right here, which I know
So
is
what he's
difficult to
doing is a
do.
cutoff on the backside. Now, I'll be honest with you. This is something I would teach him to get in better body position with. It looks like he was a little late on a snap, but him still understanding where the play is going, what he needs to do. He's just playing football. Most kids that get in that position, they'll just stop and let the defensive end make the play. But you can see him fighting all the way through the end.
mhm. Yeah. Thank
Those are
God.
intangibles.
Thank God nothing happened to his knee right there.
I
So that
said the
was so
same thing.
scary with the
Yeah.
guy coming from the side. But there you have it, Casey Poe. I'm really excited to be able to watch him and see what that's going to look like during spring football since he's already on campus. Going. It's kind of weird talking about recruits and they're already there.
Yeah.
It's just like you
It's a
know.
different world, man.
Okay, so before we transition in the segment uh, two, I need to tell you guys a quick story about beach, right, and an experience that I actually had. So I don't know if you can, and George and JT, I know you guys have traveled the world and been around, but there was a time where Consuela and we were out of the country, we were overseas, and we had a real nice resort, an adult resort that was out on the beach, right? Fenced in, so we had our own little area. They have your own private little beach and this kind of stuff, but people still can walk past if they're down in there and this type of thing, right? So we were walking out down the beach. No secret, right? A lot of us dark skinned brothers don't like to be on the beach that long anyway because we ain't trying to work on our tan, right? So we decide, man, we out here. We just can't stay in the spa all the time or in a hotel or something. So let's just go out here on the beach for a little while. So we've been there, take some good pictures, this kind of thing, right? So we go out and we had passed our little area and we get out past the fence or whatever. And one thing that you always got to remember, and you got to find out about guys. Maybe this is a topic we could have, not football related, but when is the guy supposed to be in front of the woman, and when is the guy supposed to be behind this lady? Right? Probably a good debate right here. Right? So I'm behind Consuela at this moment anyway. So I'm going on the beach, and this woman walked past, going this way, and she didn't have no top on, and she had these she had
This
this
get
other little
interesting.
she had this other little thing on down on the bottom side, right? Totally caught me off guard because I ain't thinking nothing like that or whatever it is. And Consuela says, not immediately, but she goes, "Did you see that lady?" I said, "What lady?" I said, "What lady?"
You just set yourself
She
up for
said
failure.
that lady going that way. I said, "Oh no, I saw some people going down this way. I'm just why? What's up? Oh, I'm just curious to see what you if you saw what she had on. So it was kind of an awkward moment, right? One of those things that what are you supposed to say? Oh yeah, I saw it because I already know what the next question going to be. Was she cute? What do you think about it? Should I wear that? Should I do that? It's going to lead. Would you want me to do something like that? I see you shaking your
I
head, George.
instantly start deflecting. Right? It becomes a conversation of pure deflection at that point. Did you see her? Oh my gosh. Would you do something like that? I can't believe she did that. I think I'm appalled. I don't know. What do you think?
Oh yeah, like oh no, man. So anyway, I don't know if it would have been helped a bit in the front, in the back at that point in time. It don't matter. Here's the point though. At that point in time, I had to go to the beach, and there was some very awkward moments. Now, what if I told you you could bring the beach to you? See, now I want the beach at my house now, so I don't have to be dealing with that. And the woman that I see that might not have on the top or something, her name is going to be Consuela. That's at the house. And if you want
Okay.
to be able to have one of those, this is how you do it right here. Let me tell you about Beaches LLC. Yes, Beaches LLC is your source in the state of Alabama and the Florida Panhandle for exquisite quartz sand beach pools by Biodesign USA. A Biodesign beach sculpted pool is crafted with beach entries, customized seating areas, and swimming zones, and they all can be personalized to your swimming needs. The Biodesign swimming pool is meant to immerse you in your surrounding environment. The illusion of a truly beautiful beach can be created and extended onto the patio area, creating one seamless shore environment. Let them help you turn your dream backyard escape into reality with an eco-friendly, more durable, less time, and less expensive to maintain, totally customizable pool. To learn more about turning your dream into a reality, please visit their website at www.yourbackyardbeach.com. Thank you very much, Beaches LLC, for being a supporter of Teague's Take and supporting us as we continue to grow. It's nice when you have people that jump in early, see where you're going, and want to be proactive to be able to do that. So, we will big shout out to you all. Okay, so question for you, Big G, and maybe even JT. I'd like to hear some of this, but I want to ask you, Big G, about this because you've been at IMG. You've played against maybe the Boscos and Model Days. I don't know who all you guys played, but I know you guys had to play high end, schools, high schools. So I'm just curious so we just looked at this tape of uh, Casey Poe. So what really separates a school if you can't go to IMG or something else of that nature? Is there big disadvantages if you're going to other schools? What makes these type of schools different than Bishop Gorman versus a Hoover in Alabama? Trying to think of some of the Saralands, because we got a lot of people in Alabama that listen to the shows. Those schools that are just like, they're really good, but they're not IMG. They're not Bosco. They ain't traveling all over the country. So what advantages or what are the differences between, a regular high school and something like, I don't want to say IMG because I know they're different in their boards and
Model
all that.
altogether.
Yes, but a Bosco or a Bishop Gorman.
So I think any coach that's worth his salt and has been doing this for as long as we have, we'll all tell you we're only as good as the players that we have, right? So I think Teague, you're probably one of the. I'll be honest. One of the things that we did when we were working together a few years ago, how I would see you break down defensive scheme for the types of kids we were coaching, I thought that was miraculous. It made me a better coach. But even with that, when we got to start playing in the playoffs against kids that were a lot more talented than we were, it came down to what I'm saying right now. They had better athletes than we did. Now, the thing that makes the schools that are perennial champions or schools that produce some of the best players is their resources, the way that they're set up, the structure is built around preparing that player to be the best collegiate football player he could possibly be. It's time, right? At a boarding school, you have a lot more time to be able to develop that athlete as opposed to whether it was just a public school kid that's going back and forth to home, dealing with exterior elements, those things of that nature. Then once you have the time structure in place, then it's about the people that you have in place that understand how to relate to the better athletes that you have in order for them to be able to excel more so than what they would in their hometown schools. But make no mistake about it, it starts with the type of athletes that you have. There's really no secret sauce to it, to be quite honest with you, other than the fact that at those schools that you mentioned, at IMG, the Boscos, Mater Dei, St. Thomas Aquinas,
There you go.
they are set up to give those kids a quality amount of time with quality coaches to teach them the basics to be able to transition and be competitive day one when they step on college campuses.
Okay. All right. No, I mean it's always a battle to have and have nots, right? And you gotta, what do you
Absolutely.
say? Well, I don't know the old slang about the, it ain't the X's and O's, it's the Jimmys and the Joes,
Jimmy's and the
basically.
Joes. That's
Right.
right.
Okay, so I have another question here, and I didn't tell you guys I was going to ask you guys this. So ask you guys this. And I'm gonna go to JT first, just because I think there might be people that want to hear about this. I did send JT a small teaser on this. Right, it's the Dartmouth thing. This is not football. The Dartmouth basketball team unionizes. Um, being the first sport, the first school to actually have something where these student athletes or athletes, whatever you're going to call them now, are saying, no, we're part of a union and y'all going to have to pony up. We're going to need some insurance. We're going to need some payment. We're going to need to do something, whatever. I don't know all the ins and outs. My question is, JT, how is this going to affect the rest of the NCAA now? Now you got a small school that doesn't make a whole lot of money when it comes from basketball, but you got others that might be looking. Are we about to be looking at powerhouse basketball schools who make 30 times more amount of money say, hey, we're going to go be a union as well?
Yeah, so I was kind of trying to figure out like what are the actual repercussions of this, and I don't I don't know all the things from like a legal standpoint. But a thought that I just had was like the reason it didn't work at Northwestern was because they were the only private school in the conference, and it was allowed at Dartmouth because the whole conference is private schools. So then just the thought experiment that I had was, okay, so does Northwestern get a second shot because USC is going into the Big 10 or big, however many they're going to call it? And then how does it actually work for some of these other schools? Because let's take a school like Alabama, that's a public school, which means if they become employees, they're employees of the state, right?
Yes,
Correct.
that is correct.
I don't know. I mean, I don't. I feel like maybe that means the money then is not there, because like Saban's actual contract, like his base salary was $305,000, and then the boosters like give him the rest. So, all the things I was reading was like, Dartmouth then has to go figure out what's fair market value for a D1 college basketball player in the Ivy League. And I'm like, dude, it can't be much. Like, it's got to be a cheeseburger and some and a bag of Cheetos, because if Dartmouth, which I'm sure they are, because just like Drake, like they were losing money on football for sure.
Yeah.
So
They said the basketball team profit, just the basketball team, which is probably more than football too, by the way. Who knows? They made like $1 million or something for the year, where they're saying,
yeah, and then it costs more than that to
Dude.
feed them and take a trip,
right?
Because they play 30 games, 15 of them are going to be on the road, so gone for that and gas and transportation, all that kind of stuff.
Dartmouth has a whole department of just money watchers out there. I'm sure they ain't figured this out. And they're just like, hey, man, come on, man. Let's go over here to this little department with these little dudes. And
but I do think they had some valid concerns of like, hey, can you at least give us insurance? Because like if I'm out here and rupture a knee and then I got to come out of pocket for it when I'm doing this, I definitely get that, because I mean, think about it kind of for our own kids of like, you tear an ACL and yeah, we got doctors on the sideline and whatnot, but at the end of the day, it's not the school that's going to pay the money to help you recover or whatever surgery you need or anything like that. So, I do get that. And I do understand they probably need, or they would probably want, if not Dartmouth specifically, but just if you're playing for a program that does make money, they don't make money without you, like if, for instance, if Dartmouth was turning a profit and then the Dartmouth basketball team went on strike, ain't no profit no more. You don't just you can't have, what you gonna do? You gonna get replacement? You gonna find some dudes off the street and then go compete?
Well, and I think that's part of the worry, that if it actually creeps in. So George, I didn't know if you'd heard about it or whatnot, but you kind of listen to this. You got any thoughts on?
Here's the challenge, right? And JT alluded to it. We're not talking about, since we're using basketball, we're not talking about, the Tar Heels. So, not yet, right? But until we're talking about high revenue schools, a lot of it is just going to be fodder until what they threaten to do can affect the bottom line. In Dartmouth's case, there's not very much of a bottom line. but here's the thing. It will serve as an incubator for the program that can unionize, and it affect the bottom line. They'll use that as a basis of how they move forward. That's how most things are done in one way or another.
Okay, all right. By the way, shout out to Coach Hegamin, Coach George here too, because what you don't know, I believe he has a PhD. So a lot of times you would be thinking about football players and what they do and how they do it. This guy, finishing his PhD. Well, that, you know what, that it's still amazing that you're you're doing that. Yeah. So Cuts by Jones asked me what I was drinking, so I put on Twitter. Um, what would you buy if you had $400 to spend on liquor? What kind of bourbon
Oh, too bad I
or
wasn't on Twitter
whiskey
because
would
I
you
would have told
buy?
you I could have given you a $200 budget and got you like 6 bottles.
Well, that's what
Six
most people said.
bottles.
Yeah, that wasn't my
I
question though.
I
I
started
got a bunch of bottles. I got a lot of stuff there,
I
right?
started
And
a
I just
collection.
wanted to know. I want to. Oh, I got JT. Your my cabinet has cheap. I'm saying cheap. $30 bottle of Crown, and some other things. But I have taste too. It's just like my food, right? If you watch me on that, we will go eat like the barbecue shack we just ate at, right? Run down damn thing out in the middle of McCalla or whatever. We can eat at that place too that nobody's gonna pull into, George, right? Not looking at it, but we're gonna go in because we know that damn barbecue sandwich is gonna be totally awesome because Mama Joyce is in there throwing down with the seasoning stuff. But we can also go to Three Forks or Fleming's or Dakota's or whatever and have us a nice $90 steak if we feel like it. Well, right. So I'm saying that to that I do my liquor like that. I can have me some old Mad Dog 2020 old eat something and get something. I'm
You
gonna be all right.
you've
But
got options. You've
that's
got
right.
options.
But I want to go in sometimes. I got something I want to sit down and sip, and I'm gonna be hey. So right now, what I ended up having is, and I didn't know about it until I went to uh, San Antonio, and I was sitting down in the bar, and it was kind of a high end bar, and I looked and I saw this crown that I never saw before. And I asked the guy,
Mm.
what I was, first of all, I said, how much is a shot of that? Because Crown, I'm thinking you mix it or drink it. I want to know because a lot of stuff was high end, I could tell. And he said, oh, it's $48 a shot.
Oh
I said,
my god!
whoa. I said,
Mm.
ooh. I said, so that must
Never
be
mind.
yeah. And I thought, right. But now you know me. I ain't shy like that or whatever because I didn't want to go. Well, give me some fireball. That's what well, give me my fireball
Go
like that.
all the way to the opening
So,
question.
yeah. I changed. So I'm like, damn it. I gotta try it anyway. I'm like, you know what? It's Crown. I never ever seen it before. Of course, I looked at it. Um, and so absolutely loved it. It gave me put me in a nice little cup like this, and so I sat and I sipped on it and I took my time. Well, it is uh Crown Golden Apple, not the normal little apple. It's Golden Apple. It's $250 for the bottle. Is what I
I was
paid
about to try to find my
for.
when you said that I was trying to find my censor
So
button
so wait
because
a
they're
minute.
not a sponsor.
Oh yeah,
Two
you're right.
$250 a bottle, but $48 a
A
shot.
shot,
Oh,
yeah.
they're making the collar. No, it
Jeez.
wasn't a little. He didn't pour me a little thing. The shot came in a little glass like this. It was almost.
Yeah, see what you
This.
did? Crown.
Mhm.
We're gonna need a cut.
Yeah. Well, you're right, and well, we're working on it. I'll tease it right as well. But anyway, so I do have this. It is really good. I don't normally drink flavored liquor or whatnot, but I like it. It smells really good. It tastes really good. It's aged 23 years. I'm promoting for you big time, Crown,
I know.
right? So
Not a
just go
sponsor
ahead.
could be.
Yep, go ahead and do it. Because we've actually already turned down one. I don't know if we told JT that or not, or whatnot. Because of what they wanted me to do in return, we're going to do that. So, anyway, all right, let's get to the nuts and bolts. Because I want to go ahead and get into some uh, coaching session, the clinic, right? So the way we're going to do this is I want JT to kind of start with for all of us to be able to talk about um, pressures. When we're going into 4-2-5, one of the things we've been talking about, George, a little bit is how do you disguise out it? What do you do? We had a debate last week. I call it a debate, but a discussion about how um, a 3-4 can look like a 4-2-5, can look like stuff just depending on where you place guys and all this. And we're anticipating that we're going to see more 4-2-5. Got my air quotes up on from this defensive staff, right? Bama didn't really do a lot of extreme pressures. Most of the time, we didn't send a lot of guys all the time. We just tried to whoop people one on one. So we're trying to educate some people on what it looks like if we do some things. So JT has done some research and we picked a couple plays, and we want to talk to you about what those are first, and then we're going to have George kind of talk about from the offensive side what it looks like to a quarterback, offensive line, how they identify. So this is going to be high level stuff. So y'all better get y'all pens, papers ready, or whatever, and it might blow your mind a little bit when we're going through it, but that's what we do on Teague's Taking. That's why y'all listen, because y'all want to know what the hell is really happening. So when you're watching the game, you're just not going, who is supposed to be where or whatnot. We're trying to give you the real talk. So maybe when you watch it and someone's sitting next to you, you're going, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. You just can't say, you know what I hate in the game? That parent that goes, block somebody. What the hell are you talking about? You can't block
What are
nobody,
they
man.
doing?
You know what I'm saying? So we want to talk about 5-man pressures or what can kind of look like that, right? JT, is that how you want to start? How do you want to start?
Well, before I want to get into a little bit of follow up from 2 weeks ago because we did like the high level overview of the 4-2-5, and I was meaning to screenshot some comments so we could talk about it. But there were a lot of questions on how often we expect D linemen to be two gapping in a 4-2-5. The short answer is never, because it's even spacing. You're playing half a man. Each defensive lineman is responsible for one gap. You don't two gap in an even front. And then we saw some comments saying that 4-2-5s look and function kind of like a 3-5, which is also not possible because a 30 front, anything that starts with a 3 is an odd front, different spacing. That's where you two gap. So if you're going to have 3 defensive linemen down versus 4 defensive linemen, the rules are completely different on what you're asking certain guys to do. All of your linemen don't have to two gap in a 30 front, but at least one of them does, and it's probably your nose. He's probably going to be over the center. But you can, those tight fronts where you got those in 4 eyes, those guys won't two gap, but your nose will. So just wanted to get that out of the way, because now what we're going to talk about is pressuring out of a 4-2-5. And before we really get into the nuts and bolts of it, what I want to do is show you how we can build up a pressure package, and probably introduce some of you to some new vocabulary words. They're not universal words. They're words that I use, some other coaches use, but sometimes they're used interchangeably for different things. But we can get into that with this play art here. So what we have here is just a standard 5-man pressure. This is what we're going to define as just a blitz. When we say a blitz out of a four down front, that means we're bringing 5 people. That blitz, the word blitz also means, at least in my vocabulary, bringing 5 people, which means if you are in a 30 front and you blitz a linebacker, that's not extra pressure. You're still only bringing 4 people. Would you agree with that, Coach Hegman?
Bringing more than we got to block. That's the simplest thing for it. That's what we think about.
I think that's a very good way to put it. So what I have here on the screen is just I've got in the first 3 boxes, the ones in the top 2. I guess I can draw, because we have that capability. We'll call this box number 1. This is number 2. Number 3, and where our faces are number 4. Numbers 1, 2, and 3 are actually all the same blitz. We're bringing the same person. We're just telling him to go into a different gap, and we can tag those. That's not particularly important. What's important is we've got the 4 down linemen plus the linebacker. It's 5 people, hence why it's called a 5-man pressure. And I've only put this one here, Supersonics, where we bring the Sam off the edge, because with 5-man pressures, once you have a base like this, we can start putting these Legos together to build more exotic things, more complicated things, more people together. So I just wanted to show this to you as the fundamentals of basic building blocks, because we can just take this and we start building extra things. So the next thing that
Hold on, let me interrupt
Okay.
just because I just want to give Hegamin a thought here as you kind of go that because a follow up question I'm going to have is how do you because we have it as M, which means Mike backer. What we're gonna want to hear from you is how you, from the other side, how you actually identifying what you would call them, Mike. Um, we had this discussion on whether or not we were calling Mikes when Alabama was playing last year. So I just want you to be able to talk to us later. Put that in your notes on. Okay, when I'm looking at this from the other end, who are you pointing at? Is it actually the W? Is it the M or the S for this matter now? And how you determine that. Okay, so we'll answer that later.
Gotcha.
All right, so this is what I would call a simulated pressure. Why is it called a simulated pressure? I want to draw your attention to the weak side end. We call it predator. He's actually dropping out into coverage, and we're going to roll the will over. So it's the same blitz. This is the same. We're still sending the mic. We're just sending them off the edge. We're slanting these two guys inside, but we have 1, 2, 3, 4 guys pressuring what looks like it would be the fifth guy, but he's actually going to drop out. And this is why we call it a simulated pressure. We are faking as if we're bringing 5 people by actually just dropping one out. A different guy. This is different than the linebacker walking up, faking like he's going to blitz, and then dropping out. That's not a simulated pressure. A simulated pressure is where we're trying to get the quarterback to see a blitzing linebacker and then not realize and to think that he's under pressure, that we're going to have 1 extra person or 2 extra people, and we're actually not. We're still just sending our regular 4. And what we run behind it is really not important. So I'm going to skip over that here for a second. So then we can marry those 3 ideas, right? In the first slide, I showed you the Sam coming off the edge. I also showed you the Mike coming off the edge. And then in the last slide, I showed you the end dropping out into pass coverage. So this is what I call a creeper. What makes the difference between a simulated pressure and a creeper? Creeper or simulated pressures, only 4 people are going to end up in the pass rush. Creepers, we're going to get 5. So we still have the same amount of people, and I'll draw them for you. S, M, E, N, T. 5 people. Our standard like 5-man pressure, but we're just going to drop a defensive end out. So this is other coaches will still call this a simulated pressure because we're dropping somebody out. I do make the distinction in calling it a creeper because we've got 5 people and we're going to drop somebody out. Now, what if we decide not to drop somebody out and we just want to bring 6? And this is where the meat of our discussion is going to get to.
So the predator goes.
Right. The predator goes. He just doesn't have an arrow because he's not doing anything different than he normally would be. But if we want to put those arrows in here, it would look like this. Now we're bringing 6. And as you were talking about earlier, we are hiding. We're hiding somebody. So
He's behind me. There's a R behind me. Yeah.
We're just gonna move our faces out the way.
All right, Mr. Producer. I see you doing things over here.
So now we've got 6 people going, and for those of you playing along at home that can do math, if we've got 6 people pressuring the quarterback, we've only got 5 people to defend the pass, which is totally fine. This is great because if you were unaware, the offense can only send 5 out in a route. So in this particular diagram, that running back probably needs to stay in and help. If not, we've got a free rusher. So this is where I want to open up the floor to Coach Hegamin, Coach George, to talk to us about how the offense starts to try to pick up blitzes like this, because I want to make it very clear for our audience that this is not something where it's like, hey, if you just do this, somebody's going to be free every time. It's like, no, there are ways, you can slide, you can keep the back in, and we've got another slide where you can put a tight end in here to even up numbers. But just kind of want you to talk through the process here of how do you start trying to protect against things like this?
Yeah, so I think the first thing that you have to do is give the audience a clear understanding of how you go into a week.
Mhm.
So one of the best things that I've learned early in my career was understanding how to teach my guys and instill in my guys what our base rules are, what they mean, how we identify. Therefore, when we have everything that you just discussed, JT, are all what if situations. So the rules should always cover 95% of the what if situations. Here's what I mean. So in this particular front, we got, to us, this looks like 4 down,
Mhm.
right? We know we got the back.
Is this
We're
where you want
gonna
to
make-
start? Is this where you want to start on this slide, or you want another slide? Would it be easier?
You tell me. I'm good.
Now let's go right here then. Keep
Okay.
going.
So in this, JT's got you guys got 6 coming. But with this look, we're gonna mic with this look, the M, let's say he's 54. We're going into the week knowing we want to mic that way because of the possibility of bringing an extra rusher that side. So here's how it helps us. What that does is, if this case happens, we know that we got this covered through a solid call. So we're miking 54. We got the the left guard coming over, sliding everything that way. We pick up the tackle, the end, the nose guard, the nose tackle, and the mic, understanding that the Sam is coming. Well, our rules take us that way anyway.
So he's saying
So
4 down and make sure everybody's there. He's got the offensive line is going to take what
The
I'm
4
saying,
down
the 4
and the guy
down
that
and the
identified.
M. Yes.
we're down and the guy we're identified. Right. So that clears everything up for our back and our quarterback. He understands what he has. So you go into a week understanding what their tendencies are, and you make your calls accordingly. So whatever happens, you have it covered.
Good. Okay. So when you are talk to me about, because this is an easy deal here. So can you identify? Are you identifying where placements are, or where uh, people are? So meaning, if the S, I'm just saying, I know we don't have the slide. Let's just pretend. If the S was on the other side, who would you identify?
So again, right. So in this case, now the strength shifts, right? The defensive strength shifts. So now we're going to mic to the strength. So
Okay.
let's say the will is 35. So now we're miking 35. So then that changes the direction that we're actually sliding. Does that make sense?
It does. I know. I mean, I know the answer. I'm just trying to give it to everybody. So the next piece of thought provoking, if it is balanced up, I don't know if JT has a
I can
single.
find one. I didn't put it on here, but if you wanna talk, I can get it in here for you.
If there is a single high look, meaning the S
Yep.
and the R are equivalent to each other down. So when you're looking from a lineman standpoint, right now you can see the overhang, right? The S being an overhang. But if there are 2 overhangs and now you're game planning, this one a regular, would have to go the other way. Where you understand what I'm saying,
I do.
George, where
Again, so
the R is down and the S is down, and
so
there's 2
again,
overhangs.
I'm finding it for the audience. Give me just one
I-
second.
Yeah, it'll be a lot easier when they see it. But to answer your question, because of our rules and because of film study, you're going in understanding, okay, they bring pressure from the boundary or they bring it from the field. So whatever their tendencies are is going to tell us how we're going to slot our protection for the most part.
Okay. Um, I got that. If there are any questions about that, if we're confusing anybody, if there's something that you need clarified, please make sure you jump in the chat and do that. But essentially, he's saying it still goes back into film study, and he's trying to look and they're trying to figure out, just so they're not getting too confused on the field. They already know, hey, when they come out here, you get this look, point that way, or call that number, or whatever it is, and then all of our linemen should
Now
go.
here's the other thing, George, is it honestly depends on who your signal caller is as
Okay.
well,
Look at
right?
JT.
But you
Let's see.
still have to go in, with a base understanding of what they do defensively and how we need to set our protections based on what we know they do.
Okay. So this is the diagram, just so everybody can see what I was mentioning. So now it looks even, and you can't, from a defensive perspective, right? We're going, hey, they're gonna have to look and try to figure out who we could be bringing, because our S and our R could come from either side, right? Or the nose and the tackle be shaded other ways. Film study. That's how important it is, right?
It
That's what
is,
it is.
and here's the biggest thing. So George, I know you as a defensive coordinator, if I'm studying you, whether you know it or not, you have specific tendencies.
Mhm.
So with that, we're gonna play the percentages. As I said, you bring most of your pressure from the field or you bring it from the boundary. So with that being said, we're going into it with that week, understanding what our rules are, but also if we got the guy back there, most of the times we do, the quarterback I'm talking about, we're saying, listen, here's the tendencies. You might need to change this if we mic the wrong way. Does that make sense?
Yes, yes it does. Yes it does. Okay, so the and JT kind of alluded to this, and maybe both of you guys can talk about this, because we kind of only showed you what the full wide spread. That's not necessarily always the case um, in the league or in college. So this is what he knew exactly where I was going. Now you got a tight end in there. First of all, let's talk to JT about any differences that he has to make with it before we get into offensive line and how this adjusts on communication and stuff of that nature.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things that we can do or that we can play with doing, right? Something that we might just go into the game saying, "Hey, for instance, we played a team that played with a Y off or a sniffer, just kind of depends. But he was kind of aligned either here or in between the guard and the tackle every play. Um, and what we noticed was, hey, that guy is 90% of the plays, he's wearing number 85. If number 85 is in the game, that guy's not going out for a pass. That guy is in here to
Hit a block.
block. And you're watching the film and you're like, is it because he can't, or is it because they're not confident in their offensive line to be able to pick up an extra blitz? What we found out was they weren't confident that their offensive line could handle
Pressure.
pressure. So they just kept the dude in there all the time. And they had a beast of a receiver, and they was like, I don't care, we're gonna throw it deep anyway. But then we noticed, well, when 85 is not in the game and they brought in number 12, that guy's not in there to block. It's not because 85 is hurt or he's tired. They're trying to sneak him out the back or something like that. So all that to say is we knew that when 85 was in the game, if I had called a blitz, we didn't want to blitz the tight end side. We wanted to blitz the other side
Open side.
and make them have to slide or make the back stay in or whatever, because we knew that they were at most only going to send 4 out, and if they had to keep the back in, we only had to cover 3 people, which is great. Other things that we can look at is trying to kind of, we can't, especially in this look, right? We can't just, actually, I'm lying. We could send the R if we wanted to, have him walk down and come off the edge. Who cares? And we just roll the free safety in the middle of the field. But you can start playing with how you call your strength, right? Most of the time, we're going to call the run strength to the tight end. But in this diagram, the passing strength is actually to the right. Because there's two detached receivers over there and the other side has a tight end. So what we could do is actually call the run strength to the left, where our linemen and our linebackers are actually not going to move from this diagram, but call the passing strength to the right. That moves the S to the other side of the formation. And then we can still run. It wouldn't be called Minnesota anymore. It would be called Washington at that point. But we could run Washington C hot, and then it's the same blitz just coming from the other side of the field away from the tight end. And we would have to make the offense make a decision here.
So JT, you just, just so I understand what you're saying. So basically, you just have your Mike and your Will exchanging positions, responsibility.
Yeah, we would, in this case, the Mike and Will would actually stay where they would. And what we drew up just a minute ago, where the S is on the other side of the field. Yeah, we would take the S, put him on the other side of the field, send the blitz from that side just to get away from the tight end. And
okay. I know it doesn't necessarily matter, but I just want to ask, just in case someone is asking, when you do that, are you set up to where your 3 is to your S? Meaning if the S went over, would your T now move to a 3 and the N to a 1? Or would you leave it to where just the P takes the charge inside? Am I making sense?
Yeah. So we could do both. If I was game planning today and I wanted to divorce our strength calls between the front and the back, what we would actually do is the 3 would still stay to the run strength, and it would turn into, instead of over, I guess it'd be an under front, in a sense, kind of, because we've got the overhang on the other side, the 3 is away from him, and then now we would take the predator and he'd have to cut inside because we're gonna get this action.
Well, how do you communicate to your run side in and nose
to go
they
inside?
No longer pinch?
So in this case, we could have either the call would be Washington, probably not. Like if we were, if it was Washington, then the end and the nose, no, they're not involved with that. If it was something where this was game plan dependent, we would actually probably just call field or boundary or just strong or weak. And what we would do, because how we already call this, let's say the call comes in Minnesota. What I don't want is our end and our nose to have to remember that. I would tell the linebacker, hey, you need to tell the end that it's echo. Echo means for him to slant inside, and then he needs to communicate to the nose to get out of my gap. So have kind of a chain of communication to say, you need to blitz where that end is. The end's in your way. So you need to tell him to get out of the way. And then once you tell him to get out of the way, the end now knows the nose is in my way. He needs to get out of the way. And we have little code words for that. Echo would be, and this is really why I like it, because I want to draw this up for the audience. These two know what Minnesota means, right? Remember, this is from our first slide. That's a Mavericks call. This is a Supersonics call. But this right here, that's called echo. So what I could do, if I really wanted to just like make all of these, we can get the same call, much like NFL offenses do, where we just tell everybody what to do.
You got everything. You got Sonic.
We can say over
Maverick.
Supersonics, Maverick C, Echo, hot, and everybody should know what to do. But that's a lot of words, so we try to.
But here's where the chess match begins, right? because obviously, like you said, you're making these changes based on our personnel,
Hmm.
right? So with that, the better OCs, the better O line coaches have to be in tune with what's happening and be able to say they're making this switch because 85 is in again versus
Hmm.
12.
Yes.
So they understand one's our blocker, the other one's our pass catcher. What is our counter to that?
Right. And the easy counter, right, would be if you put 85 on a route because we think he's
Yeah.
not going anywhere. Just slip him out there. And
Pray to God that 12 can block.
one of the two, right?
Well,
So
that
Ephraim Davis
happens.
says go 5 wide vertical. Um, we would absolutely check out of this if we got 5 receivers wide.
Yeah.
the,
We there
forma-
are
the formation changes everything that you that,
Yeah,
that, you, that you're doing.
we've
So
got automatics built in all over the place. Especially if we get empty. If we get we already have an empty check. We get empty. It don't matter what I call. We're checking out to our
So,
empty
so
coverage.
let me before you get too far in the weeds on that. I think what we're just giving you one simple scenario here, and maybe there's a whole nother segment on what do you do against empties because you're the coordinators are thinking different things by personnel. So it's easy. This is where the um what do we call ourselves when we're sitting on the couch and we're
Armchair
coaching
quarterback.
and
armchair.
we're armchair quarterbacks where I'm
Yeah.
sitting here looking, I'm going, oh well, this is what I would do when well, what happens is you see the lines right now, but these lines could be totally different on the snap because the people could still be in the same place. So there's
Hmm.
a whole lot of stuff here. So you can't just
True.
make a statement like, oh well, just freaking throw the bubble over there on the other side. He's gonna be wide open, to the other number two. No, you don't know. People move. That P might pop out. It might be a trap by the corner. There's all kind of things, and that's what makes football so intriguing, and that's what makes us mad. Me, George, and JT, and the others when we're going and we hear people say crazy stuff when they really don't know what the call was, either on offense or defense, right?
Yeah.
So
Hmm.
we got to be,
Shoot, that happens on the sideline too. It's like, well,
yeah,
so and so's wide open. Why don't we just throw the ball to him? It's like, well,
yeah,
if you knew the play call, the ball was supposed to go to him, but
yeah.
quarterback decided no, it wasn't.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
Listen, one really quick. Let me say this, George. One of the best offensive coordinators I ever worked with. Like he taught me how to go into the film and break down stunts, blitzes, and fronts. So for anybody that's ever done that, that's probably one of the most tedious things that you can do in film study because you got to go through all the plays, then you got to run through them from start to finish, and it trains your mind to understand what you're seeing and understand the different possibilities. But thank God for technology now because it would give you the different breakdowns of the percentages of how much you do this, what your changes are, and things of that nature. So, but the person at home, they don't know that. They don't have that information. So they can only do what we just saw, say, hey, just do this.
Yep. Okay. So, um, I got one more question, JT, for him, and then I want to go back and I want to close out with something else. Or when you had the lineman dropping out, give a point about that. So I want to ask George about this because of this formation. So the yellow two, the tight end, or sniffer, or you, or whatever you want to call him, right? Talk to us a little bit about what this does with the line, right? Because now you got another surface player who can block or go out. But I'm really intrigued, and if we can kind of talk through, and it's going to be hard to show, what happens when that guy starts to go behind the line because you see that so much on the snap. All your linemen are going towards the S, but the uh, tight end then goes behind the line and is either trying to block the P or go out for a route or something. So why do you do that, and what is the mindset of the offense on why you need to be able to do something like that?
Well, the first thing it does is it creates another gap that you have to defend. That's number one. The second thing is it totally gives us a bit more confidence that we've got one more guy in that can help us do whether we're in pass protection or whether we're run blocking. That we got another guy that can help us create another gap that the defense has to defend. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So in this particular case, the you coming back across the formation, you don't know whether he's blocking or going out for a route. So if you don't account for him, then that's
It's
one more,
devastating no matter which one he picks.
no matter whatever you pick. So to me, I always thought it was probably one of the better formations in football. And what you and see what coaches are doing with that particular person, along with the rules that you got in place, man, it just creates chaos on defense if you understand how to use them.
Yep. And so when you look at the high level stuff, even what Bama ran last year, and we talked about this, and this will be my last comment about this, is if when you see this and you see that fast jet motion from the green number 2 going across the field, and we're talking about all this eye candy, he's going across, but on the snap, the other 2 is going the other way, and and then the running back is doing something else, whatever the hell
Jab
that
stepping
is.
yeah.
The M and the N are all, I mean, the M and the W are all kind of like, whoa, what's going on here? Right. And then you got to figure out, are you a man and who chasing who and who's got to do what. So it gets pretty stressful on the defense. And, one of the teams in the league that does a really, really good job at that is San Francisco 49ers. They start moving people all over the place. How they communicate all that stuff on offense and get people going the right way, I don't know.
They just tell everybody what to do. That's why. That's why
Yeah.
the play call is so long.
That's super long.
They just,
Okay.
you go over there, you go over here, you do this, you do that. All right, everybody got it.
All right. Okay. So last point, I want you to go back to the other slide where you had the, what'd you call it?
You want this one or this
The
one?
Predator was dropping out. That's fine. It doesn't matter. So what I want to focus on is on the Predator, or anytime you got a defensive end. Okay, I'm gonna call him a defensive end for lack of better
Because
words.
he is.
For dropping out. What you guys don't know is how hard this is on this guy and how much work they actually have to do, because it's not their normal thing to do. They're rushing, they're worried about their hand placement, what spin moves, what counter moves. They're working on that all the time. So now you ask a defensive end to drop and play pass on somebody. You got to teach this guy, like it says. He's getting to run first. He's loving that, but now he's got to get out and he's got to go 3-2. Who is 3-2? So this goes back on what the Coach Hegamin was saying too. What kind of coaches do you have? How do they get them to understand what this is? How many reps do you actually need to get? How much time do you actually have? An individual and stuff to make this guy feel comfortable that that's Jameis Williamson or whoever out there in the slot that this guy is going to have to potentially try to tackle and cover.
And as he was talking about before, just talk about what kind of kids do you have? Because for us, like last year, I would have never done this. Why? Because our weak side defensive end was a defensive end. This year, the guy that we have playing weak side defensive end actually played will linebacker for us most of the year. So asking him to drop into coverage is not new to him. So I don't have to spend that much time, and I feel more comfortable saying, hey, this on this pressure, you're going to drop out and play 3-2. And he's going to be like, oh, just like when I was playing linebacker? Exactly. Just exactly like you were playing linebacker. But there's other kids, his backup has never done that before.
Yes. So a good example is wasn't necessarily this, but I can't even remember which game it was, JT. But it was something like this, and the back ended up running up the sideline and scoring a touchdown where we were outmatched because the 1 and the 2, let's just pretend they ran the post and it took the R in the corner off, right? And then they went the real route by number 3 against our Predator or backer or defensive end, and he's trying to cover a real route.
Yeah, no, and you can't. That one you just got to be like, well, my bad.
Yeah, you're looking, but that's another one where everybody's going, man, what, it was a great call by the offense at the
Mm-hmm.
right time. Whatever, we probably had some kind of tendency, like Hegamin said, hey, when you're down here and it get like this, we're probably gonna get this pressure. That means this guy's gonna be on our running back. We're gonna turn the line this
Take a shot.
way. And I ain't even pissed at the game. I'm looking, everybody going, man, why is he covering him? What is he doing? I'm like, you know what? I'm sure we wasn't necessarily expecting that. But they
Yeah,
got
they
us
they got us.
on
You
that
know,
one. And Mhm.
here's the thing. I shouldn't give y'all this secret, but I'm gonna tell you anyway because JT got a promotion. Here's the deal. When you guys are doing something different on defense that you normally don't do, I always know. There's three dead giveaways. Y'all talk too much. It's way too much communication going on. There's at least two guys with their hands out like this. But more importantly, you're in. If he's dropping, he's not in a stance to jet up field.
Ain't got his
He's not
fingers
in
in
a
the dirt
stance.
really.
No, yeah, he ain't got
Fingers
his
not
fingers in the
really in
Really.
the
dirt, and he
dirt.
ain't even key. He most of the
He
time he's like, "Ooh, I'm hoping I drop out here and just get this interception." He ain't even looking at the run, and you run power right at him.
Yeah. So, but the thing is, you still gotta respect the front. You still have to respect the front from the beginning. But any coach that's worth his salt, teach your kids tendencies.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Teach
sir.
them tendencies. Because once they understand that, man, their mind explodes in terms of what they could do athletically.
Well, and it's so easy to do nowadays in huddle in high school.
Absolutely.
That's for sure. As long as you put the variables in there, hash, down and distance, something, you click that button and it gives you a full report on
Yep.
80% run, 20% pass, and you can break it all down by formation, all that kind of stuff. So don't be lazy, coach. Just
There you go.
do it and then hand it to the kids. And then the kid will always say, and I hated this. If there was a big Overton, hey, 90% of the time they do this, and so we don't practice on the 10% of the time. We practice
Mm-hmm.
on the 90%. They're gonna do this, and then
Absolutely.
they go, well, what if they do? Quit ask me on what if they
They got
do,
us.
because they probably not gonna do it. And if they do, they got us. Trust me, I'm not gonna yell at you. They
Yeah,
they
I
they
mean
got
it's
us.
it's always
Uh,
you got to defend pages 1 and 2 in the playbook and make them. If an offense beats you, you want to make an offense beat you with one hand behind their back, and if they can
Yep.
do that, then they're pretty good.
Yep.
So anyway, man, I know that was system overload. It was really good. We're going to continue with sessions like these. If you guys like these, make sure that you give us your comments, even if you're watching the recorded ones, because we do look at those. There's certain things that you want to see because we're going to go step by step. We kind of talked about this. We didn't talk about any coverages. How about that? We got to be able to talk about coverage stuff as well, or maybe a different type of look or blitz. In particular in offense, we're going to have to talk about some offensive plays as well. What does that look like? So we enjoy this part, and we hope that you guys love it too. George, we appreciate you, man, for coming in, just giving your expert an
Happy to be here. I enjoyed it.
yeah, man. I mean, you break it down so smooth and so easy. You're talking about us working together and having to get kids to understand. And I saw that the way that you did. And that's why it's so important to me as a head coach. Whenever I've done it, is the first person I was trying to hire. I need to, yeah, you want to try to get your coordinators and all that kind of stuff. But if you ain't have an offensive line coach,
Mm-hmm.
they
Forget
can
about it.
get in it. It's over, boss. You just can't stick somebody in that
Sure.
position. It's too valuable. A lot of people, oh well, he's big and he looked the part or whatever. But no, if you can't get that, the mindset of those guys are different. They just think different, they learn different, everything's so close and so fast. And they got a lot of stuff. Like he just said, well, we got to identify something, and then that changes all of something. Then we got emotion. And then what if the defense move? It's so there's so much. So I'm grateful that you can come in and just be able to break this down for us very simply. JT, excellent job, man, breaking this stuff down. You're giving people a little bit of knowledge here. Um, and I know it works on your skills too for when you get ready to start holding your meetings in spring
Mm-hmm.
football here. You're going to be able to lay this stuff down. You know, my days are over with that coaching stuff right there, so I don't have to look at it that kind of way. I just sit back. I know what's happening. I can sit up in the stands, and I'm like, no, that ain't what JT wanted. I already know. That ain't what that guy was supposed to do over there on offense.
Yeah,
JT, he turns into that guy. He's that guy now.
I've only thrown my hat twice.
Good.
Yeah, he just didn't tell you how far it was and who it was at.
I spiked it.
You know what I'm saying? We had to get new headsets for we talk about coaches last year. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, we did have to get new headsets, but that's because the headsets y'all bought was from 1997.
See, he ain't tell the truth. That's why you can't.
That's
why you can't hire. That's why you can't hire engineers on your staff because they're looking at all the wires, G, and everything else. Oh man, what kind of battery is this? Man, them things work fine, dog.
That's not even what happened.
You know what I'm saying? If you charge it up, right? No, we gotta have one that you just set down and it charge on this platform or whatever. Who knows? You know, this kind of thing. But anyway, man.
Always lying on me.
Yeah. Thanks again. Big G, you got any books? Charity, something we need to let everybody know about.
Listen, you know I'm an avid reader, right? My daughter and I, we go back and forth with the different books that we read. And I'm in the process of rereading some of the books that I've had. There's this one book, it's called Chop Wood, Carry Water.
Chop wood, carry water.
One of the chop wood and carry water. Like JT, if you can get to the point where you can get your kids to understand that the important thing is to focus on the little things consistently, it'll make teaching them the hard things so much easier. But they have to be disciplined about showing up, chopping the wood, carrying the water. Check that one out, man. It's a really good, easy read, but there's so many gems in it.
Give us a tagline, man. You got to throw the tagline in there. Remember that. Come on, man. You got with the tagline, man. You're missing your marketing opportunity right now, man.
Totally. I'm mad I didn't have my ad on the screen. I'll know better next time.
Well, I'll send you the price sheet. And we're sure to get that on there. Oh, yeah. We're sure to send that to you. But anyway, hey, man, it's been a great day, a great time. Make sure you guys hit that subscribe and like it. We're going to be back in a couple weeks breaking this down. Again, stay tuned. Hit that bell on our YouTube page so you know when things drop. Just in case we have other things that pop up every now and again. JT likes to put some things out there from time to time. So it has been a fabulous day. Big G, one more round of applause, and then we're going to call it a day, my friend. And he gets...
Oh, I had the censor button. There it is.
Oh, there it is. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
All right, man. Well, with that, we're going to call it a night. Let's get out of here. Deuces.